pre-on or we're
Good
live?
evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Dave Miller, and I messed up there for a second there because it's not evening; it's afternoon where I am. But for other people, it's other times. We have a full roster today, so why don't we go ahead and introduce ourselves?
I'm Alin Silverwood. Um, I am a former staff editor at Marvel Comics and writer and current producer and writer of Pop Skull Press Comics.
I'm Dale Yaddo. I am an illustrator who's worked for Zion and Blind Squirrel, as well as Popskull now, and also Missing World Medias.
I'm Mike Spencer, basically a superhero creator. Have been for most of my life. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of my characters appear in various books elsewhere.
Okay, great. So I can't believe I'm meeting you guys, especially talking about Pop Skull's latest issue of a very popular series so far, Infinite Souls, a Halloween tale. Now, when we first talked about this, Alan, about this project, you know, we went more in depth with it. So why don't you tell the audience just to speed up what's about?
Up to speed. Okay. I should probably start first how it came about.
By
Um,
all means.
it was kind of funny. I came into uh, the the community of small indie creators, and I found several guys out there doing these wonderful things and these amazing characters. And I just kept going, this is great, this is great, this is great. And I was like, it got to be kind of close to Halloween, and I noticed all these pumpkin head guys. And I'm going, I had a pumpkin head guy that I had come up with. Um, I could tell you his origin story, why I came up with him, but that's beside the point. So I was like, we should do a story where these guys are all thrown into something together. And I talked to a couple of guys, and they're like, this is a great idea. And then I talked to a couple more guys, this is a great idea. Next thing I knew, I had several guys in, like they wanted their Halloween themed guys in. And I'm like, this is awesome. So we started throwing together, a bunch of characters and kind of looking at an idea for a story. And Roy Johnson had this big bad guy, Saint Samhain, who is essentially a lieutenant of death. And I was like, perfect. We need a big bad. He's a big bad. And, we'll give him some of our guys as, you know, cohorts. And we'll put together these odd kind of assorted characters to come back and kind of fight him. And it turned out that Rodney Lockett of Irongate had created a character called Dr. Spectral. And part of Dr. Spectral's heritage is this book based on a real thing, which is called the Voynich Manuscript. It's kind of this mysterious book that nobody has really ever been able to understand, but it seems to have mystic overtones and things. So he has this book that's supposed to be really sacred and mean a lot more in his mythos. And I was like, that's perfect. So I'm like, what if Saint Samhain uses this and gets a hold of this book, and he wants to create more souls, and he finds this thing in there that allows him on Halloween, when the veil is thinnest, to not only open the portals between the living and the dead, but open the portals between the living and the dead and multiple realities. So now he's got multiple realities open and all of those portals open to the dead. And then we get his access to infinite souls. And so the first thing he has to do is there's something called the pentagram stone, and it's scattered throughout realities in different pieces. So we had our characters kind of like, it's almost like that old, the old Justice League story from back in, I think it's the 70s, where it was the seven soldiers of victory and the seven soldiers were scattered, and like the Justice League had to go find them and bring them back.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, it was like these pieces of this pentagram stone. It was like, try to get them before Saint Samhain gets them. But he's got this little lead on everybody. Plus, he plays dirty. So, and so do his associates. So in the first book, it's this chase to get these pieces of the pentagram stone, and if he assembles it, then he can make this thing happen. So that's what happens in the first book. Is that kind of battle and struggle to get those pieces of that pentagram stone and prevent him from potentially opening the access to all of these souls and turning them loose and creating havoc across billions and billions of worlds and realities for his access to the dead. And I don't know if I should spoil how that turns out.
Maybe you shouldn't spoil because we want people to buy the second issue. I mean, just
yeah. The second issue will take up where the first issue ends, and so it's got some weird twists coming. Some fun things. The characters, it's really great because I'm working with these guys who have these amazing characters with these amazing properties, and they brought in very interesting things that just like it was like everything just clicked into place. It was like that works for the story here, that works for the story here. This guy works. Oh, that's perfect. He can do this, or he can have this, or this. It just all fit. And it was like I felt like we're all kind of mentally in the same place on something like this. I think that most of us seem to have a lot of interest in the paranormal, or at least some level of interest in the paranormal, but mostly comics, comics and superheroes. Yeah. The superhero, supernatural, boom. I'm like, this is where it all meets. This is like, Doctor Strange and Creature Commandos and Swamp Thing, and it's like this is that kind of thing. This is perfect, and it's like, but it's a team of guys who are able to do this, and they all bring something special to the table. They're kind of strange. I mean, I think in most superhero books, if the guys were like in the Avengers of the Justice League, they would be kind of like. They would be the odd man out. They would be the weird ones, even the heroes kind of. And so it's kind of like there's a stigma attached to them almost as being kind of, now I don't want to say freaks, but one of the guys does use that in the first book. And one of the other guys takes offense to it. So it's kind of like, maybe that's not the politically correct way to refer to these guys. They're all very specialized. That's a better way to put it, I think.
Yeah, I'm starting to remember our conversation the last episode you were in, and I loved the concept. I remember loving it a lot. And I was like, oh, I wish we could see more. And then you're like, no, there's going to be 2 issues, and here we are, with issue 2. So, Dale, Mike, how did you guys get involved in this?
Well, I had joined Eric Bennett's Indiversity project to introduce my characters.
Mm.
And Alan reached out to me and said, hey, I kind of like this one character seance you have. How would you feel about joining this little project I've got going on? And of course, I was going to jump at the opportunity to get my character out there. So she'd only had like a couple cameos in my Missing World Media project. So I was eager to see her on page.
All right.
It very similar for me as well, through Eric and, Andrew, Roland. I got introduced to a number of these guys because of a lot of the characters that I've created, and it's funny because probably one of the weirdest, creepiest character that I have that Alan and I hope to work on at some point actually isn't a part of this because that character would have just not quite fit in the story, but luckily I managed to find a number of them, a couple of mine that do. And so that's, kind of how I got there.
Yeah, these guys both have like some of the best characters that are that just people should see. I just absolutely love their creations and their creativity. I can't say enough about how impressed and blown away I am every time I see something else that they're doing. And and Dale has done a lot of art. He stepped up and just did this beautiful set of um, like portraiture images for a set of trading cards for this set. And I think I might have sent you some of those, and they're just beautiful pieces. And I'm like, this is just a great way to highlight all of the characters that are in this.
They are gorgeous.
And it's just beautiful stuff. He's done such gorgeous stuff, and he's just, I mean, I can't say enough. These guys have just been fantastic. This team, they're just. I mean, these guys are they're the salt of the earth and the cream of the crop.
It was a lot of fun to do the artwork. The characters are very inspirational. They really lend themselves to creativity, and I had to draw them. I took it upon myself to do it. So
they're cool looking. They're cool looking. I mean, come on.
They're very cool.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was just drawn to the visuals at first on all these characters, and then of course everybody, had their stories and their backgrounds and their skills and who they are, and it's like these characters are more than just a good look. They actually are really interesting characters, and I'm just like, this is just mind blowing. This is so cool. These guys deserve much more exposure and much more usage, and they deserve a story, and that's so this story is basically kind of breaking that open for these guys, and our plan at this point is to get the second issue, the second half, the back half of Infinite Souls out, and then a few of us are moving our characters into a book called Twilight Order, where these characters are going to be dealing with threats like this on an ongoing basis. So it'll be a repeating kind of periodic thing, and they're going to be called the Twilight Order. And Mike's Doc Gothic is on board, and Dale Seance is on board, and Rodney Locke's Dr. Spectral still running the thing. We're just going to have a lot of fun with these guys. Just can't wait to see more of what we can do with what all we can do with all of these guys, and how each of them will play. And I've always been a big team book guy. I love the interplay and the interaction between characters. For me, I was, everybody was like, what's your favorite book? Your first favorite book. It's like, Spider-Man or, Iron Man or Batman or whatever. It's like, nah, for me, it was always Justice League, Avengers. It was always the team books that I was into, because I didn't just love, the good guy versus bad guy and all of that. I liked the dynamics of the characters interacting. It was like the best way to really see who they were and their reaction and their interaction. To me is the most fun. So trying to get as much of that in as possible is kind of one of my goals, and it has to happen while the action is happening, which makes it even more fun to see how they're reacting to each other while they're trying.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
The team books, it's much easier to move a story along with the different characters, as opposed to, at least in my head, I've been trying to think of trying to write up a story for just an individual character, and I just find it so much more difficult because I don't quite know what to bounce them off of at all times.
I think it's
when
a
you have the team around. It's quite a bit easier.
Yeah, it's kind of a special skill to do that singular hero thing. I haven't done one of those yet. Every book I've done has been a team book so far, to some degree. That takes skill. Now Dale has a book with a singular superhero lead, hijinks,
Yep.
which is great and great fun. And
But even that ended up sort of a team book.
you've got a good supporting cast coming through in there, which is just amazing. I think it's like that is kind of like the ideal. That's like you're able to do the best of both worlds there. You know, that's really cool. It's just
because the supporting cast members are just as important as the lead character in that book.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the best way. I think that's the best way to do it. Those books, I love that kind of book, that kind of way that, you know, even if you take a solo character and then you get a kind of a supporting team that coalesces around them, and so you have the best of both worlds. You have that star out front, but you also have that team. I'm like, it's like this is the best. This is the best stuff to read. You know, but.
Well, it's true because you get to experience the characters' camaraderie with the others, you know, again with their interactions, and you can find something in yourself in each of these characters, you know, whether it's like, oh, I just had that conversation, I had that thought, you know, or, you know, like I can see where this person's point of view is. So, yeah, that's pretty much a staple, I think, with any team up or even solo title, because with the team up titles, you have the team, you have the core team members, but with the solo one, you have your main character, but also his supporting cast, and sometimes, you know, the stories intersect because we also need to learn about the supportive cast because they're actually helping this person out, doing these fantastic things. What are their lives like?
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. It's like it can take a different spill, and it's interesting to see who winds up relating to who and how. You know, like I always loved in the old, was it the Justice League, where like Green Arrow and Hawkman were like they were just like they did not get along.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I love that. And then of course one of the all-time, probably the best bromance in comics of all time, in my opinion, is Wonder Man and the Beast. It was like, who saw that coming? Like, where did that even come from? But it was like, it was so great and it worked. I love that in those old Avengers. It's like Wonder Man and Beast is this, they formed this bromance and everybody still talks about it. Everybody still remembers that. It's like that's amazing stuff. That's character development on a level that like I can only aspire to, you know, to see that kind of thing.
Well, with the characters in this title, do you think there is a strong enough camaraderie between them?
It's developing. Some of it started out kind of abrasive, a little bit. In the first book, we didn't have a couple of the characters that are popping in to the second book on a regular. They may have shown up, like at the very tail end of the first book, we see Seance. For her first appearance at literally the tail end. She's, you know, caught up in the thing. With Mike's character, Doc Gothic, he shows up in the first book. He kind of like just pops in for a guest spot, but then he's going to take step up and take more of a role in the second book and on into Twilight Order. There was Necro Girl, who is Dan Hoynes, who's very famous now for Thunder Woman. His character Necro Girl, who is coming into this book, so she will come in, and she's kind of a really younger character, like a Teen Titan age character, and so like I think some of the older guys are going to kind of take this almost like protective, sort of a one of the guys, Nigel Flood, who is famous for the Celtic clan. He's a guy, I had run into him in Ireland. I was in Ireland and I went to a convention. It turned out there was a Dublin Comic Con, just happened to be going on when I was there. And I went in, ran into Nigel Fleck. So I've known him since then. But he has a guy named Doc Vampire, who's pretty old and like ancient old, like couple hundred, 200-300 years old. And so like the first thing that's going to happen is he's kind of like stepping up to kind of like keep an eye on her type of thing. So you'll see a little bit of that. There was this kind of a rub between Night Demon, which is Carlos Raphael's character, who's got his own book coming out. So Night Demon and Mr. October, which is Andrew Rowland's character, who actually isn't a supernaturally powered character. It turns out that Mr. October looks like another one of the Pumpkinheads, but he's really more of a Batman kind of guy.
Yeah.
A gadget kind of guy, but with a scary look, And so they kind of butted heads, but they kind of learned to respect each other and work together. There's a lot of funny things about Night Demon too that to play off of. So you'll get a few things like this starting to kind of develop and generate. In the second issue, you're going to see Night Terror, which is my character, sort of based on the old public domain characters, Black Terror and Nightmare. I kind of did a mashup of what they might be as a mashup character, and I got this Night Terror guy that everybody seems to love. So I'm like, all right, well, in this book, in the second issue, there's going to be a thing with him and Mr. October that's kind of an important aspect to the story. It just turned out that like, oh, this is a perfect and I think kind of a clever way for them to get something out of Mr. October that they need that they couldn't otherwise get if it wasn't for what Night Terror can do. So it's like, oh, that's neat, And so everybody's going to be out kind of staving off what's happening in their own different ways, paired off. And then there's this other thing happening, which is going to be threatened by one of the new villains that comes into this book also. So.
Okay. I'm glad you're back, Mike. We lost you there for a second.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you know what I was saying about my old laptop? That's exactly what happened. So now on my phone.
Getting a little feedback here too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's on your end, Mike.
What's that?
No, we're getting feedback.
What's happening? Oh, sorry.
A delayed echo.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the ghosts.
I was wondering why.
We've had this book has had some very challenging things come up, and I'm like, did I get us cursed by trying to play with the supernatural here? I don't know, but we're out there.
Oh man. Okay. I have artwork to show, and I think it's appropriate to show it.
And then we can talk about stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, there he is. That's my villain, Black-O-Lantern. He actually came about. This is a very funny story. I was in a Target, and you know how Target every year around Halloween comes out with a really cool section of Halloween, just gobs of Halloween junk. And it was a few years back, and I was walking past, and I saw this black pumpkin, and I had never seen a black pumpkin they had done. It's like it was made out of plastic. It wasn't a real pumpkin. It was like this black plastic pumpkin. And I was like, now that would make a cool jack-o'-lantern. And I guess it would be a black-o'-lantern. And I was like, oh, inspiration is born. And that's basically where he came from. And of course, everything just kind of rolled up into that. He just turned into this kind of he's kind of an agent of death. He's a reaper, sort of a guy. He's Irish. Turns out a lot of our characters are Irish. Or come from Ireland, like a lot of the characters. It's amazing. Both heroes and villains tend to originate in Ireland, and that just happened. That's just funny that it happened. It's like I guess Ireland might be the epicenter for all things supernatural or something. I don't know. I mean, jack-o'-lanterns. I believe that is a Celtic thing, isn't it?
Yes,
it's an ancient Celt thing. So naturally, I suppose it just figures that things would come back from there. And what he's coming out of there is a portal tomb, which I actually, when I was in one of the times I was in Ireland, I was out touring what's called the Burns, and there's a lot of those, and they're really neat. They were old ancient tombs they used to put people in. They were shaped like that. They kind of have a slanted roof, and it's weird. It's a weird thing, but they're neat. And they're just kind of all over the place out in this one part of town. I'm like, oh, let's make that a part of his thing. So that's Black Alin. He's one of the villains, who basically serving Saint Samhain in this book.
The design is fantastic, and I want a cosplayer to design this costume to wear at a convention.
It's probably not that hard, right?
No, it's not that hard. It looks that good.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. I've never seen anyone cosplay any of my characters yet, and the first time that happens, I'll probably lose it. I'll be like, "Oh my god, somebody did my character."
Okay, let me just pop the new one.
That's Saint Samhain. That is our big bad. He is Roy Johnson's guy. He says he's a former lieutenant of death, and he's got his own agenda now. And I thought he's just perfect for like a Thanos level villain, but with the supernatural bent. And he was one of the first guys thrown at me with the pumpkin head. He's got a pumpkin head, kind of thing. And it was like, oh, that's perfect. And Samhain, of course, being the name for Halloween. It was just perfect.
Again, this is a great design, and it adds to that horror aspect, especially where he's standing in a pool of blood, and you got all these bones and skulls, and you're like, the way he's holding the skull is like he's doing Hamlet for a second.
Is that York? Was that meant to be York, Dale? There he is. Excellent. Yeah, we use quite a few skulls, and he like when we first see him, he's sitting on a throne of skulls. In the book, I believe he's sitting on the throne of skulls the first time we see him. Well, he's actually not sitting on it. That's like in the first scene where he's basically attacked the Dr. Spectral of one of the alternate realities. He managed to get to one of them and steal his copy of the Voynich manuscript. So he's a devious one too.
Yeah, I can say that.
Yeah.
Stance.
Dale.
Stance. Let's see. Another one from Ireland. She is half Grim Reaper, half human, and she's been charged by the higher powers with keeping the secrets of the dead from the living. They fear that if anybody ever learned that there was actual proof of an afterlife, it would cause a great extinction. So her job is she absorbs spirits, their energy, and she can redirect that and channel it into force fields, concussive blasts, float. She's basically a human spirit in that way. But yeah, she's the protector of the dead.
Which made her perfect to throw her into this story. It's like, if you want to prevent the exposure of the afterlife and the dead, Saint Samhain's actually, his whole plan here is to do the exact opposite, which is to release all of the dead into the public, out into the world. So,
man,
perfect to trigger her to action. So,
yeah, I would say so. And the concepts of these characters are just so fresh, and I can't find the right word for this, but it's just rich. It's richness. That's it. It's richness.
Yeah.
I haven't seen characters like this in a very long time, and this is very exciting.
Yeah, I just love her design too. Her visually.
Oh yeah.
She just visually, I was like, I couldn't stop looking at her. I was like, this is just a perfect design.
Absolutely.
I spent years with her, so I had time to work on her.
Yeah. Okay.
and that is Night Demon. That is Carlos Raphael's character. He's coming out in his own book very soon. He is a sort of a mask-based character. That mask he's wearing has special powers, grants him powers, and he also has a pair of guns which are sentient and can kind of shift and change shape and speak and do funny things. So I've been having a lot of fun with him, and Carlos is like, "You really write this guy just right." He's like, "You write him better than I do," and I'm like, "Wow, okay." He just inspired like the sense of like kind of like this frustrated, fun, but very effective, very menacing hero. So we've got his guns they're kind of Sodom and Gomorrah are the name of the guns. And they really wind up kind of chipping into the story. They have some reactions and say some things. They interact a little bit with some of the rest of the cast too. But I just found that so much fun once he told me what they could do, and that they could, shift and change shape and speak. I'm like, oh man, there's so much fun to be had here. And he's a neat character. So it's just like, yeah, perfect. And he's badass. So boom.
He's cool because his guns are characters in their own right.
It's like you get a bonus pair of characters there. They just play off each other, and they also are not exactly always on their best behavior. Sometimes he's just trying to get them to like, toe the line, and they don't toe the line so easy. So that makes them even more fun.
Amazing. Okay, yeah. I do believe we have one more image to show. No, correction, we have a couple more. Okay, why don't we get on with the covers?
That's the first cover for the second issue. Just kind of has the Saint Samhain in the background, and those are all of our heroes out in front for the book. You've got, I'll kind of just go from the front. That's Mr. October down front, and above him is Dr. Spectral. To the left of him is Doc Vampire, Seance, and Doc Gothic. Which is Mike's character up top. And then on the right-hand side from the bottom up, you've got Night Demon, Necro Girl, and Night Terror. And you notice that this kind of blended into the background there. You've got some spirits sort of creeping off into the darkness. And, of course, they're on a scattering of skulls at the base.
Incredible. Who did this cover?
That's Damian Godaluz, who actually did the art for the first issue. He did this cover for us for the second issue. Good artist. Really good artist. Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this, Dale decided to have some fun with us. Go ahead, Dale. I'll let you talk about it.
I just thought, I think I just watched Thriller, the video Thriller or something. And I got it in my head that we should do an undead version of all our characters. So the one that really gets me is Mr. October and his poor severed head. But basically, I just took all the lead characters and I wanted to do something that wasn't exactly like what Damien had done. So I killed them all.
If they fail, this is what their fate will be. Eternal zombies.
My lord. My lord. Yeah, you definitely had fun with this cover.
I did.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
I can
I
tell.
loved it when it was like I looked at Mr. October and I'm like, wait a minute, where's his head? And then I realized that Negro Girl's over there holding it, and I'm like, oh, that's just hilarious. Especially because he's the one who doesn't have supernatural abilities, really. It's
Yeah,
like it's
exactly.
kind of like, oh my, that's just funnier than man.
I tend to put a little bit of comedy, a little comedy in my artwork at times. So I ran with that for this cover.
That's all right.
I love that you kind of bring and point out that ability to kind of have that a little bit of tongue in cheek humor and stuff. I love that. It's fun.
Mm.
It adds so much.
I grew up on a healthy dose of Excalibur with Alan Davis and Chris
I
Claremont.
loved that book. I loved that book.
And
I so much.
the whimsy in it and the subtle comedy still to this day influences me.
That's good. It should. It's a good.
Great
It's good.
stuff.
It's good.
It's a great book.
It is. Okay.
Gothic looked like Crypt Keeper in that one.
Yeah. You should talk about Doc Gothic because he's kind of a funny character too. With what you had mentioned about him, we'll have you talk about him. I want to get into him because he's fun. This is the villains cover.
Yeah,
There was a guy that started showing his art, Andrew Lunatic. Lunatic. I'm not quite sure. His last name is spelled Lunatik, Lunatic. And he was just doing this great stuff. And I was like, I got to have him do these guys. And so he did the villain cover. So this is the villain.
Wow.
So we've got, of course, Saint Samhain in the back, Black O'Lantern in the front. That's Jill O'Lantern, which is Rodney Lockett's character on the right. And then Thriller, which is Jermaine Christmas. That's his character. He jumps in and joins the villains in the second issue. I was just like, it just blew me away. I'm like, love it. The guy is in, I want to say he's in, it's one of the Balkan countries that he is in? Way over there. Way over there. But boy, he's crazy talented, this guy.
Yeah.
And it was inked by Kepler Kirchner, who was the inker for at least my first issue of Spies Among Us, my superhero comic, my first superhero comic. Kepler did that, and he's in South America. So we've got a really international cover going there. And Adriano Agosto is the colorist, and he also is in South America. They all kind of meshed really well for a nice, really nice, scary Halloween cover there.
I love it. Okay. And we do have this cover.
Yes. Now we did a cover. We thought we'd do a little bit of kind of a little bit of cheesecake, kind of thing. So we did. I kind of just threw some stuff together for the first issue. We had her on the cover, and she was just kind of like taunting all of the characters. And so in this, we had Christian Abel Pena, who was doing some stuff, come forth and do this thing for us, where he puts her in a graveyard, kind of viewing them through an energy portal, and viewing some of our characters. And basically, she's developed into kind of a mascot, and she's we call her the Hallow Witch, and she's sort of a cross between the Watcher in What If and the Crypt Keeper in Tales of the Crypt. She kind of like, she's an observer. She's sort of like the storyteller, the mascot. She's kind of behind the thing, but she may also be a character who instigates trouble. She likes to see trouble and conflict and strife, And she may not always be on the bad side either. She may actually be helpful at times. So we'll kind of see in the future what role she plays. But she's kind of a creature outside of everything else.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And then there is Dale did a really wonderful shot of her. Some of the trading card shots that you don't have, he did a great shot of her where he kind of enhanced her and made her a much better useful character for actually story use or going forward. He really kind of like tightened her up and fleshed her out even better. So I'm just like, ooh, it was so inspirational. I'm like, okay, now I've got to think about how I'm going to use her, and it was like, so it just kind of brought her more to life.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I just love that when that happens. It's like, you get a bunch of creative guys together and you turn them loose and they start playing around and you never know what you're going to get.
Well, yeah, because then they have fun with it and they're like, okay, what can I do? What can I do with these characters?
Oh yeah, and you've got some great talent here. So it's like it just inspires all of us to even more fun, and it's fun for us. It's fun for me to watch. I'm like, I love seeing this stuff.
Well, that's the thing. You get creative people, and we feed off of each other.
Which is wonderful about working, teamwork with other creatives. I'm like, I'm sitting at home a lot, alone, and I'm like, I need my people, and it's like, well, here they are, these are my people, It's like that's so much better, and you can do so much more, and it fuels your energy for creativity as well as your creativity, being able to interact, with each other. So, I'm like, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And you saw in her bubble, one of the people you saw, I think that what he wound up putting in there was Night Terror, Night Demon, and Doc Gothic is in the bubble. And Doc Gothic is kind of a funny character, Mike. Yeah. I wanted to kind of address Doc Gothic because when you presented him to us, you brought him in, and you kind of made him sound. Well, I'll let you talk. You tell the story. You tell us about Doc Gothic some more, what he is.
Yeah.
Okay. Basically,
did we lose him?
In
sounds going
on. In my universe, my you're not going to be the new guy. You're not that guy. So he's kind of a schmuck, basically. He's just trying to prove that he actually can do this. So he's founded a school, wizards and supernatural people, called the Oswald Academy, Oz to the students, and so he has his crew of. Yes, it's derivative. Oh man, and so his students get into all sorts of crud and that kind of thing. So basically, he's a tryhard, is what it is, and hopefully he gets to prove himself. We'll see.
And again, this is another thing where it's like a character comes in and he's got so much fun, so much life to play off, and it's like, oh, I can use that. I'm like, that's going to be really fun in the story.
Right. None of these characters.
I mean, his name, his name is Gordon Oswald Thick. So obviously gets shortened into Goth. So he married into the Oswald family for the money to open the school, and she basically treats him like dirt. So Yeah,
Poor
Fun,
beleaguered
fun
bastard.
couple.
he's
Fun,
not
fun couple.
the spark. Yeah,
And like, so some of these guys are just poor hapless bastards, you know? And it's like, but it'll turn out that like as a unit, they're rather effective. You know, they're not just going to save the world; they're going to save a bunch of worlds. You know,
hmm
so it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. Turns out, the right chemistry and the right set of people, and these guys are highly effective, or at least we hope they're highly effective.
That's what we'll have to see, won't we?
Yes, that's what we'll find out. You know, where will they be effective and where will they not be effective?
Yeah, this is fantastic. We do have two more things to show. This was, I'm guessing, a double spread page, and I can show this.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Now it's funny because we kind of take up almost immediately where we left off at the end of the first issue, and at the end of the first issue, Seance has been kind of made aware of the fact that she's become aware of the fact that the spirit world is manifesting in view of the public, and as you see here, they're attacking the public, and so Seance is on the job. You see her in her panels to pop up, and that's the splash page for the second issue. And the rest of the team is not together with her yet.
Wow, there's so much to process with this page.
Yeah, and
So
this
much.
is Henri Santana who's drawing their second issue, and this will be our artist for the second issue.
Okay.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Francisco Zamora, who is he's the letterer to so many indie guys, and I've used him. He's lettered basically, I think, every one of my books, and he had a studio going. I think he's in Argentina, and he had a studio going, and he has a lot of connections. So when we needed someone to do the art for the second book, he came up with someone for us. He suggested him, and this guy jumped right on it. Henri was right on point, and came out, and it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
It was like excellent.
This is fantastic. Yeah. So I'm very excited about the second issue. I'm very excited about where all the characters are going to go going forward, because from what we talked about, it does sound like you want to keep the team going, but in another book.
Yeah, just taking these heroes and creating something that they can they can interact with, and you'll have kind of maybe a core team, and guys might, depending on what everybody wants to do, they may some guys may pop in and out or whatever, depends on what happens. But basically most of these guys are going to be moving into that book. So I'm like excited. I'm like, yes. So I'm like, okay, now what other stories can we do? What other things can happen? And of course there's, we'll see what the team comes up with, what we think of, what we have. But there's so many possibilities. Possibilities for these guys. We have a logo. I don't know if I sent you the logo for the Twilight Order. Did I send it to you?
I don't think you sent me the logo. Let me just take a look real quick. No logo.
Let me see why that is. I am going to shoot it to you because it's pretty cool. You might be able to show it.
Okay.
Tim Harris, who did the logo for Infinite Souls, there's actually a sticker that actually I should probably show you too, because I did a glow in the dark sticker.
Ooh.
And of the Infinite Souls, because he did such a great job on this. And I was like, oh, that's just too cool. And so I just did a nice sticker for us for that, and then he just did a logo for us too. Let's see if that'll come through. Where is it? There we go. I just shot that to you in message. I shot you that sticker of the logo that he did for Infinite Souls, the original, and then the Twilight Order logo for you if you wanted to have a look at those.
Absolutely. Definitely going to show these. Give me 1 second. Bear with me, folks. Oh, I like these a lot. Oh, this is going to be fun. Just wait. Hold on to your heads, folks. This is quite something. Okay, here we go. Exciting, isn't it? Okay, so this is for Infinite Souls.
Yeah.
That's a very nice logo, especially with the tombstone and all that.
He did such a great job of just nailing it. Tim Harris is just he does wonderful logos for us, and he just popped that out for us for the first issue, and I was like, that should just be a sticker. So I've made some glow in the dark. These are glow in the dark stickers. I've got one roasting so I can see it in the darkness, and I just got these in, so I'm like, oh, so I'll throw those into the second campaign as well.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Okay, then we have one last logo, and this is quite a doozy, folks. Look at that. Isn't that amazing?
That's our Twilight Order logo. Yeah, he just did that. He just did that this week, and was like, yes. So I was like, I wanted to show that in the campaign. It's like where we're going, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that just works really well, especially kind of coming out of a story that kind of focused around the pentagram stone to have a pentacle in there. I was like, oh, that's perfect. That's a good star for it.
Absolutely. It totally works. It says a lot in the title without actually saying anything.
And that was the idea. He just nailed
That's a
it.
good idea.
Yeah. I think we all loved it. It was like, that's a good thumbs up. So the campaign we've got 4 covers plus we're going to do what we did in the first issue, which was we offered a lot of cameo options because a lot of other guys out there have, like monster or horror or Halloween themed kind of characters and stuff. So we got a lot of guys who jumped in for cameo appearances, and there were quite a few that showed up in the first issue. We'll be offering cameo spots in the second issue. And we will be offering a cameo cover. So we did a cameo cover for the first issue. So there will be another cover based on who decides to back for an appearance on the cameo cover. And we're also going to do, with these trading cards that we're doing, we're going to offer the opportunity to get your own card and be part of the set of cards. So there's going to be a set of trading cards, and one of the options is for you to be on a card. That will be one of the offers. And then, of course, there's going to be we did a commissions so that you can have an artist draw. An artist will draw characters for you, that your characters, they won't design them for you. You have to have them, you have to bring your character in, and they will do a really nice, it'll be really good artists doing a really nice rendition of your character. So these are all the things that are going to be in there. Plus we'll offer the first issue of Infinite Souls. If you missed it, you can still jump in. You're only, it's only one issue back, but each of us has other places where our characters have appeared or will appear. And so some of that will be offered as well. You'll be able to get your hands on some of the other things that some of us have created, which is always great. It's always catch up, when you see stuff. It's like, again, with small indies, there's it's really hard. We are not Marvel. We're not DC. You don't see us everywhere. And there's a lot of people who maybe haven't seen us or our work. And there's a lot of really good stuff going on out there. So to get it and put it in here and go like, oh, hey, look, I would have never found this. It wasn't for this campaign. There's stuff in here. Let me grab that. That looks great. It's like your opportunity will be there to catch some really great books, comics that you might not have seen or heard of, you know. And that's, we've got 10 creators here who are doing different things. It's like Mike has like this stable of characters that are, I mean, every one of them is like deserving of like their own story and their own book. They're just so well done. He's an expert character creator, and he's got several different places where his characters have appeared, and some of them have become, kind of well known in the indie, comic community. So that happens. And Dale is out there working and cranking out stuff. I saw his stuff and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this guy, wow, this level of talent. I mean, I was just like blown away. I love his stuff. I love his art. I love his creativity. I just couldn't be more thrilled with the guys I'm working with. Rodney Lockett has a whole set of books. They're like, you get like a who's who or a Marvel handbook of the Marvel universe. He's got a whole set of those out for his characters. Roy Johnson has done a book of standard comics characters. I've done one book of some of my characters. I obviously have to do another book or two on those. And then I've got Reality Rangers coming up, which is a book that is primarily focused on all of the characters that I've taken from the public domain and either done a mashup version of them or done kind of like, well, I'll take their name and kind of like do what I do my take on that name, and maybe there's some homage to the original characters. And so they're coming out in a book, and that actually is a superhero book, which ties into my Spies Among Us universe. So, and Night Terror appears in that book. He's a main player in there because he is, again, based on public domain characters or inspired by public domain characters. So there's quite a bit of stuff out there.
Yeah, and I bet you folks won't want to miss this because I don't want to miss it. I already just followed these guys just now. So yeah. So when is it the campaign officially start?
Last week. I'm just trying to get some things in now. That's why I'm telling everybody sign up for launch. Essentially, I want to start this before Halloween. And I've got 7 days. So I'm getting the last bits of things. I'm trying to get a mock-up image of one of the trading cards. We have the art, but an actual mock-up of the card itself. Vince White, who has done this deck called the Indie deck, he's trying to get like basically everybody, all of us guys who have characters and books in the indie comics world, all of us, he's trying to get as many of us to do cards for this indie deck as possible so that there is one unified thing that kind of makes all of the indie, the small indie creator universe like a little bit stronger, a little bit more visible. And he's been working on this thing. We started talking about this last year and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think anything that kind of puts us together, like Eric Bennett did the Indieversity book, which gave us all a chance to kind of like show up in one place together. We each got our page in that book. But this Indieverse deck, it's like it can be anybody. Any of these cards are in this deck, and it's like, hey, be a part of the indie deck. It's great. So he's doing that for us, and he's willing to do the art. If you wanted to, if you happen to want to be a card, you want your character's card, he's willing to do the art for that, so that you'll get a card in the deck through this campaign. And he's putting the cards together because he's got a set. He's already got the set going. There's already several characters in the indie deck that exists. And where was I going? I lost my thought. My mind gets busy on the things I'm trying to kind of the last few things I'm trying to nail down so that I can open up the campaign. I mean, that's why it's a good idea to sign up, because you'll get the launch notification. But of course, I will post everywhere when it's open. I'll be posting more stuff, and I'll be posting a lot heavier. I'm always afraid to post too much or spam people. It's like I tend to under promote, because I know that I get swamped and drowned by too much stuff. I get overwhelmed. So I tend to think, well, I don't want to overwhelm people, but I think that I err on too much on the side of I need to be putting more stuff, put more stuff on.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
Yeah. You feel a little shy about it in a way.
Yeah. Because I actually stopped and thought and realized I'm actually involved in 3 or 4 different projects right now. And I was like, does anybody know that? No.
So this is what I'm saying. Mike has this stable of characters that are just everybody's grabbing them and doing stuff with them. They're all over the place. It's and it's and then there's opportunity for cross promotion. It's hey, well, we can promote where else Mike's appearing, and they can promote us, and let's all kind of work on how we can do more for each other, because again, strengthening the whole indie comics creation, the small indies, kind of strengthening the whole industry. I think people need to be aware. I think people will appreciate it, and honestly, there's so much to love in there. It's and when you start to see what's happening out there, guys like Roy Johnson, who's put out 12 issues of the Sentinels. He's just steadily been knocking out issue after issue after issue. It's I'm oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, his consistency has been great.
Yeah, that's just that. I mean, that is a thing. And how many issues? Hijinks is that 8 issues, right? It's Hijinks is at 8 issues, right?
Hijinks is 8 inches.
8 issues now. Mm-hmm. So it's these books are out there, and I'm like, I can't wait until I'm at that many issues. And it's I have this ADD thing. So I started 3 or 4 different series, and I'm going, but then I went to a guy, I started my Spies Among Us, and I've got the 3rd issue ready to go, but then I held it back because I got some feedback on it from one of my old editor friends, Gregory Wright from Marvel. And he was giving me some ideas and some suggestions. And I'm oh yeah, that's great. Well, what that wound up being was me launching Reality Rangers as a companion book to kind of work into that universe and kind of make it kind of from a flip side, make it sort of a little bit more of a cohesive story, because it was such a big story. It's an epic story. I'm telling with that book, and you can't even really see it. It's so big. So I'm well, let me just put this other book out to go with it as a companion book, which will actually explain or tie into where things are going, which will be fun for the reader anyway. And it's great stuff, and it plays with all these public domain characters, or public domain inspired characters that are going to tie into the story at some point. So I've been unable to restrain myself from doing. I'm broader rather than deeper when it comes to my releases. I've got Spies Among Us. I've got Reality Rangers now coming up. I've got Sky Guy and Altitude Just, which is my steampunk thing, which is just that thing has a life of its own. It took off on me. I didn't expect it at all, but several years ago it happened, and it just wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to start that. And that one's in process for the 2nd issue. And then of course, Infinite Souls, when I started talking to these guys about this thing happened really fast. It just came to life. Again, these things sometimes take on lives of their own. And I'm and I'm still trying to go oh, look, I got to get these other books out in the other series. And I'm you know what? It's just keeping them all up. And I'm like, I'm not going to start another series now. I've got 4 going. I'm like, this is it for me right now until I can, you know, get a little further along on some of these. I think I don't want to frustrate people and have them think that there's no more of these books coming and I want to know how the story ends. It's like, no, there are. The stories are there. Like the 3rd issue of Spies Among Us, it's kind of been sitting on hold. It's actually drawn. Sid Tellis did a great job for me on that, and it's been sitting there drawn. I just need to finish up the script and put the book, you know, get it lettered and put it up. So it's like, it's not like these things aren't there, and it's not like they're not happening. I just need to, it's focus. It's a focus thing. And I've had some health things. I've really had some struggles with health things in the last couple of years. One thing after another. I was in the hospital for major surgery twice in 2022, and then once again in 2024. In the meantime, I started having pretty serious, family trauma stuff. So it's, I get a little delayed on putting stuff out. Pop Skull has moved slower than I would have expected it to, or would have liked it to. Various misfortunes and things, but
yeah, I definitely know how that goes. And I've talked with you through quite a bit of it. I'm hoping that like Coalition Comics pals like Rodney and Roy, I hope that we can get another issue of our Power Company out at some point. I'd really look forward to that. I have my main, one of my flagship characters, Jester, is going to be in a video game coming out, which is being worked on. Trust me, everything that's gone on with that has just been absurd, but it, from everything that I've seen of it, looks gorgeous. So I really hope that does well. I'm sure it will. And I also, I tried to keep up with various cameo appearances in various other books until the day comes where I can actually publish my own. So
I know the feeling. Alan's helped me with doing some editing on my scripts for Seance, so that's the process.
Can't wait to see that, man. That's great stuff. All the stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I feel so fortunate I'm working with every one of these guys that I'm working with. They just like, they all have something spectacular, and not just one something spectacular, multiple spectacular things happening. Everybody's just, they're so creative. Everybody's so creative. And it's like, this is stuff people need to see this. It's like, yeah, okay, we all love Marvel and DC, but it's like, there's a lot of great stuff out there that, you can support these things. And it's like, yeah, sure, you may not get a book every month, but actually, I don't think I get a book every month from Marvel or DC at this point either. So I'm like, it's like, yeah, okay. So in small indies, it's like, you're not going to get a book as often, and that's okay. I'm like, I'm fine with that. It's like, it's all right. It's like, I love the books, and they're different, and they're unique, and they're fun, and they're creative, and they do different things. They do things that the big guys wouldn't do or can't do or won't do. And I love that. I love seeing, something different. But yet again, it's like, if you have a sweet tooth for this kind of stuff, it's like, I'm a fan. I know there's people complain. It's like, there's too many superhero things, blah, 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 blah. I like them. I still like them.
Yeah.
If they're done well and they're done right, they're great. It's just fun. And for me, comics, my whole philosophy about comics is like, I was drawn to them because of that visual, that interesting, fascinating visual. It's like a good story. Yes, of course you want a good story. And yeah, you could do a good story with a bunch of guys walking around in jeans and a t-shirt, but I didn't really want to look at several pages of guys in jeans and t-shirts, like, I'm interested in the visual.
That's a big pet peeve of mine. I want iconic designs. Superheroes are meant to be iconic. If you can get away with making a character that's cool and has the word man in his name, then more power to you. You're doing it right. But obviously you don't have to, but if you can, hey.
Yeah, I mean, there's good stories out there, and they don't necessarily have, they don't necessarily have uniforms, costumes, outfits, whatever. But I like seeing that. I like seeing those. It's like, why, like it's like if I've got a choice and I've got two great stories, but one of them has this visual appeal, being that comics is a visual medium. It has this like, what is this guy wearing? He's dressed like a friggin' bat. What is that? I'm going to pick up the bat comic rather than a comic that like there's not. It's like, and that's a comic that like in the story may be great and I'll love it, but it's like, I'm just thinking in the realm of comics, I want that visual stimulation. I want that. I want that something that's maybe weird, maybe bizarre. It's like that just. Which of course it all leads back into Infinite Souls. It's like you can't get much weirder or more bizarre than what we're doing here visually. So I'm like, I love
the greatest escape. You can design and enjoy other people's dreams. Really, you get the opportunity to see their superheroes and all the crazy crap that they can come up with, and you run with it.
Yeah, it's true. It really is true.
It's
Comics
fun.
are the greatest storytelling medium.
It's fun. And I mean, of course, you look back at the history, I mean, you look at what guys were doing when they first started doing this kind of stuff. It started out, the pulp stuff, and then you started getting things like Superman and Batman, where it's like, okay, that's a little different, I mean, the Shadow was just kind of a guy in a suit, but he was still cool looking. But then you started to take it up a level when you had a guy like Batman come out and Superman, and now you've got all kinds of different things, and it's just mind blowing, and that's all coming out of guys' imaginations.
That's entertainment.
That's entertainment.
Well, we love the legends. I
Exactly.
think all of us deep down inside, we all have that craving for the larger than life aesthetic.
Yeah.
You think back to the Greek gods and all that stuff, and that's what
Exactly.
modern superheroes are. They're
Yeah.
the latest incarnations of our wants and imaginations, but they're just cool.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how original this is, but I built that into Spies Among Us. Superpowered individuals is what SPI stands for. And I built that into the book, in the story, in their history. What Greek gods and Norse gods, what all those gods were superpowered individuals living in a different age. And so there has been this superpowered individual gene, or whatever you want to call it, that has been around throughout the history of mankind. And it was not well known. You just saw these things that, people thought of as gods, which, compared to a normal guy, a superpowered individual or a superhero kind of is a god. And so I don't put them as a higher level of superhero, like it's not like powerful or anything or interdimensional. They're just superpowered individuals who managed to pull off this kind of almost like a scam that they were gods, kind of thing. But then in the modern era, they kind of went underground, and that's what my book is about. When it's called Spies Among Us, the whole discovery is that these people are living among us. They're not gods anymore, but they're secretly living among us. But it is that. It's like taking the concept of mythology and gods and the greater powered beings, and melding that into modern society, or your take on modern society, or a version of modern society that you imagine, and turning that loose and seeing what would that be like. Everybody has a different take on that too. But that is the fun.
It is. Guys, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and talking to everyone about this awesome project. And for those of you who really want to, check out Infinite Souls, the link is down below. Go follow it now. And when you get the chance, going back this because we need stories like this. We need some originality, especially with characters so rich like this. So, guys, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
definitely-
having us.
Thank you.
Of
Thanks,
course,
Ian.
definitely.
We really appreciate it.
Please come back. Please come back when
And,
you
and
when
I,
you're doing
I,
all
I,
these.
I apologize for my crummy computer and cutting out a few times, but
We've all been there.
I was grateful to be here. Thank you.
I'm glad you came. And please feel better.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Of course.
I just
thank you
think
for the
this is going to be I think this is going to be just so much fun. I can't wait for people to get this book. And we need all the help we can get because it's Kickstarter is pretty competitive these days. It's pretty heavy duty out there. So we need all the help we can get and all the support backing that we can get. I'm sure it'll be, as Kickstarter campaigns can be, it's going to be
Yeah. Well, you got support from this guy right here. So don't worry about that. I got you covered. And
beautiful.
once it's launched, I'm going to make sure to promote as crazy. Because despite you under, promoting, this needs to be promoted properly. This needs to be a bigger than life promotion. So I'm going to do my best to deliver that.
Thank you.
Thank you so
love
much.
hearing that. That means a lot to me.
Of course.
The guys will all appreciate that.
Of course. Well, folks, I think that's going to be it for us tonight. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been True with Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have yourselves a good night.
Night.
Good night, guys.